What's going on, guys? This is Aiden, Bandwagon Sports. This is episode 7 of our prediction series. We are still in the SEC. We are moving back to the SEC East, and we're going to the team who has been the top dog, no pun intended, in the SEC the past 2 to 3 years. We're going to Georgia. They have been excellent as of late, and this year they're notorious for having one of the easiest schedules in college football. Um, it's not a secret that I am a Georgia fan. Georgia hat, Georgia shirt, picture. I wear all this stuff all the time in every video. I love Georgia. They are my favorite team. In this episode, we're going to be going over what I like about Georgia, what I like about their team, their matchups, what I like and what I don't like about them, and what I predict them going in the regular season, this college football season. In week 1, it is one of Georgia's first night games at home in forever. UT Martin. It's going to be a blowout. The Georgia has 3 cupcakes in the first 4 weeks. UT Martin is one of them. That is 1-0 for Georgia starting out the year. Week 2 against Ball State. 12 p.m. noon game. Ball State isn't that good, but I think in these first 2 games, this will show how good the Georgia offense will be. The Georgia defense is going to do its thing. It's going to be there. It's going to show up. But the offense, these first 2 games against UT Martin and Ball State, is going to really show how good this team can be. If Carson Beck is playing and he's going to be the starter, if he's looking amazing against these teams, then I think he's going to look amazing the rest of the season against all of the other teams. But if he doesn't look good and he looks just okay, it'll be like a 2021-2020 season with Stetson Bennett. He still has time to grow, but I think these first 2 games will tell a ton about the way the season is going to go. In week 3, you have South Carolina coming to Athens. Sanford Stadium is a very underrated place to play. It is very difficult to come in there and win. South Carolina is a scary team. You guys know my opinion on that. South Carolina is one of the scariest teams in college football, and I don't want to play them. I am glad that this season, our game is at home. It is much like Tennessee last season. They had an okay season last season, and then this season they're coming, and they're playing, and they have their quarterback. They have a great offense, a great coach. I think Tennessee and South Carolina have very similar programs, but I like Georgia for the sake that Georgia is at home in this game. So that's 3-0 for Georgia. Week 4, UAB coming to town, starting off with 4 straight home games for Georgia. UAB, Georgia plays them a lot. UAB is not winning. It's just not happening. Week 5, Georgia headed to Auburn, going to play the Tigers in Tiger Stadium. I like Auburn. I like Auburn at home. They are an incredible team at home. I don't see them winning this game just because of how good Georgia is. But if this game is a noon game, I can see this being much like a Missouri game last year for Georgia, where it's an early game. Georgia doesn't wake up. Much like the Missouri or the Kent State game last year. I can see them not waking up. I can see them not getting fully ready because Auburn's going to be friggin' 1-5 or 3-2 or something like that heading into this game. But I think Georgia will win this game. I just think it will be a lot closer than what they would like. Then the next week, week 6, Kentucky versus Georgia in Athens. Last year, the game was a lot closer than I think it should have been. Our offense did not come to play in that game. But I'm taking Georgia in this game because Kentucky is falling off. They are not going to be that good, and Kentucky's going to win, going to lose this game. Kentucky's not that good. Georgia's a way better program, way better defense, and a way better offense. But the defense will stick out in this game, and Kentucky will not score a whole lot. Going into week 7, Georgia heading to Vanderbilt. This game going to be super easy for Georgia. Is even though it's at Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt isn't a good program at all, and Vanderbilt's just going to get rocked in this game. This is another one of those games where you will see how good this Georgia team will be, because despite Vanderbilt not being that good, if your offense doesn't play good against Vanderbilt or like a UAB, Ball State, or UT Martin, then they're not going to play good against South Carolina, Tennessee, Ole Miss, any of those teams. Week 8, heading to Jacksonville against Florida. It's a 3:30 game. It's always a 3:30 game. This rivalry is one of my favorites to watch every year. I'm excited for this game, but I don't think it's going to be close at all. I think it can be a little bit like last year's game, where it was close a little bit in the third quarter, and then Georgia just takes off with it. I think it'll be a little bit shorter of a close game. I think it'll be maybe first, second quarter being close, and then Georgia's just going to take off. Georgia's going to go on a scoring run. Georgia's defense is going to play fantastic in this game, and I can't wait for this rivalry to kick off. That is 8-0 for Georgia. Heading into week 9, Missouri coming to Georgia. It's at home. Missouri's not that good of a program. I do like Missouri. I like their football program a good bit, but it's at home. It's not. Missouri's not that good. It's at home for Georgia. Georgia's going to win this game. That'll be 9-0 for Georgia. Week 10, week 11, Ole Miss coming to Athens. Georgia got extremely lucky with their scheduling this year because all of the teams that they play, except for Tennessee, they play them at home or at a neutral site. Like South Carolina in Athens, Auburn. I mean, it's in Auburn, but Florida neutral site, Ole Miss at home, Missouri at home. Those are all teams that Georgia could very well struggle against. We've seen it before. We've seen it happen before. But I think this year Kirby's going to have them ready for these games. They're not going to drop easy games as they did last season, or as they almost did last season. And I think they're going to beat Ole Miss, and they're going to beat all of the teams that we've seen previously. That's 10-0 for Georgia, heading into week 12. This week is going to be the most difficult week of the year. Tennessee versus Georgia. Georgia going to Knoxville, to Neyland Stadium. This environment is going to be electric. This game is going to be fantastic to watch. I am very excited for this game. This game is very, very, very winnable for both teams. If Georgia would have played in Neyland Stadium last year, I think Georgia would have lost. And I think the only reason that we won that game, well, I think we were a better program. And I think that we were at home, and that gave us a far better edge than if we were to play in Neyland last year. I think this game is going to be extremely good through all four quarters, and I'm going to give this game to Georgia. It's hard. I, I think a lot of people have. I think a lot of people have Georgia dropping this game, even though, I mean, I Tennessee, if their defense can improve at all from what it did last season, I think I could see myself picking Tennessee in this game. But because I haven't seen Tennessee's defense be any better than what it was last season, I don't think I can pick Tennessee in this game. I think that Georgia's defense is always a thing, and it will always come to play no matter who they're playing against. I think both offenses will be the tell of this game, and it will determine how it goes. Because if Tennessee's offense can't get anything going and can't score, then Georgia's going to win. But if Georgia's offense it has just sucked and it's just good and it just sucks, or even if Georgia's offense is mediocre, Georgia will not win this game because Tennessee just has way too much firepower and way too many weapons and too good of a quarterback to not be able to score. Georgia has to be able to score in this game, or else this game will not end in their favor. If Georgia's offense can keep up with Tennessee's, then Georgia's going to win this game. It is going to be very hard for Georgia to do that because first-year quarterback, new system under Mike Bobo. Um, it's I Georgia could very well lose this game, but I'm not gonna count on it because defense travels, and Georgia's defense has been the best in college football for the past 2 years, and I don't see that changing this year. So I'm gonna give this game to Georgia. That is 11-0 on the season, and then the following week 13, playing Georgia Tech at Georgia Tech. Good old fashioned hate. This rivalry is very lopsided. Georgia Tech's not winning. Georgia will whoop on Georgia Tech no matter how good Georgia Tech is this year. And that is a perfect 12-0 for Georgia. I see them winning the SEC East unless they lose to Tennessee. I see them winning the SEC East, and I see them making the playoffs again this year and going for a three-peat. This Georgia team is very scary, and they're going to be very hard to play against, especially this year with only playing five away games. Is this Georgia team has a very easy ride this year in terms of strength of schedule. I think it plays in Georgia's favor a lot, but I think the first 4 weeks of the season will tell you a whole lot about how Georgia's going to perform the rest of the season. If we're putting up our usual 50, 60 points against UAB, Ball State, UT Martin, South Carolina, if we put up our usual 50, 60, 70 points, then our offense, if we can score a ton, if our offense can look good in those first 4 games, then I think Georgia's offense will look awesome in all 8 other games that are going to be played this season. I think if Carson Beck can be as good and commanding of the offense as we know he can be, then I think I'm not worried about this Georgia team because I know their defense is going to be outstanding, and I know their defense is going to be amazing. But what we really need to look for is their offense. I'm not banking on it being one of the best offenses in the country like it was last year, but I am banking on it being a pretty solid offense and being able to do a lot, especially in the passing game this year. Let me know your guys' thoughts and comments down below, and make sure you go check out the other parts of this series. And like I said, let me know your thoughts and comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one.